particular item?
No, no more comment cards on this particular item.
All right, in that case, I move that we vote on item S. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Secretary?
All right, Jeffrey Lynn,
Yes.
Jason Ackerman,
Yes.
Jerry Pessoa says yes, Stacy Rains, Paul Anand,
I'm going to abstain.
abstains, Jacob Lynn,
Yes.
Howard Benjamin,
Yes.
John Henry,
Yes.
Joseph Lazarovitz,
Yes.
Jerry Martin,
Yes.
Veronica Marin,
Yes.
Penny Meyer, Austin Knoll. All right. Kathleen Patton.
Curfew, no?
All right.
That's correct.
John Camara. Carino de la Cuesta.
Yes.
Steve Friedman.
Yes.
It passes.
Thank you. And then the treasurer requested that we go to item Y, which is the VNNC to consider whether to hire a transcription service to transcribe the minutes of the monthly general meeting. Such service would allow the minutes to be posted on the VNNC website and otherwise as rapidly as possible. The VNNC believes that this would expedite the general meeting and otherwise eliminate much needlessly wasted time and effort. This,
We can talk about it.
the idea behind this basically was my idea, I believe, and all I was thinking was that there might be a quicker and more modern way to take minutes than to literally have them transcribed, although Mr. Benjamin is kind enough that we have them on disc. So I was just looking for a more advanced way to do it, is all. And does anybody have any comment on that?
Is there, did anyone price out or get an idea of kind of what ballpark we're talking about?
No. No.
And it doesn't, no, it's like, you're talking about like a court-style transcription service, or you're just talking about?
I was thinking of something that recorded electronically is what I was thinking of.
We are recording it
Well,
electronically.
you're recording.
It would be someone to do the transcription.
Yeah.
And to do the notes and make sure everything's all kosher for the general board meetings.
So you send the video to a transcribing service?
They would show up and have access to the transcribing, to the video for record if needed for clarification. But this is something that Mr. Thomas asked me to look into before he stepped down as chair. So this is just to keep notes or agenda minutes just like coming out quickly and timely, and also to keep them commentary free, because there's been some history of commentary.
Okay, so the idea would be then, we're not talking about transcribing the meeting, we're talking about just minutes, and the minutes would just have what was voted on and the results of those votes?
As
Is that
well
the
as,
idea?
as well as discussion over these items. That's where it gets hairy for, let's say, the secretary to try and take notes on.
Okay, Mr. Jacob Lynn.
Yes, one clarification about all this, and I discussed with a few members here of the board on and off the record. But from my understanding, all we're looking at is basically just getting a digital recorder, like say the equivalent of a tape recorder, giving it to a transcription service, they type it out and send it back to us. Is that correct?
More or less, yes.
Okay then.
All right.
I just want to clarify that. That's all.
Mr. Benjamin.
Yeah, I mean, for the last 15 years that the neighborhood council system has operated, this council has never employed a transcription service. That duty has always belonged to the secretary. It was a part of the job description and what they were elected to do. So why do we want to change?
All right. Well, since I more or
Well,
less.
I guess the real question should come to the secretary, whether or not he feels he needs assistance.
Mr. Secretary?
I should be able to do it.
Okay?
All right.
Okay.
Then we withdraw the motion.
The DVDs in the past, when I was doing them, and I'm handing that task over, but when I was doing them, they were done the next day.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Watch out for this. Oh, God, no.
Jeff,
President.
I think
Yes.
Mr. Henry had a comment.
Oh, sorry, John. Mr. Benjamin is eclipsing you from where I'm sitting. That's why I never see you
Hard
down
in my
there.
head.
Sorry about that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Comment I would have made, though, is, again, what did you want from the transcription service? A summary or a line by line? When I got into a very good mood, I was writing the minutes essentially to essentially an hour a page, and that would give you a run of, 2 hours of time. Now, if you're talking about having somebody transcribe every sentence, it's going to take a lot longer.
Yeah.
Well,
How deep do you want to go?
well,
Right.
I don't think that we necessarily need every sentence uttered, but I think that the key points that lead to, if there's an amendment, for example, are germane to the decision process and might warrant noting. It depends on how much the secretary wants to take on theirself.
All right, well, let's table this. The secretary has indicated that he doesn't think it's a problem, so we'll visit it another day. And that brings us to item Q, for which I believe we have
We have two public comment
two
cards.
cards, so let me read it. First of all, the VNNC to propose that the Catherine Avenue traffic circle be renamed the Penny Meyer traffic circle. The VNNC believes that such name change is appropriate in recognition of Penny Meyer's long service to the community. The VNNC further believes that such renaming would make the traffic circle more visible and the focal point in the community. And Mr. Henry proposed this, so take it away.
Okay, well, just very briefly.
Into the microphone, Mr. Hendry.
This has been mooted somewhat anyway by, Ms. Meyer. This is simply, first, a Valentine in the sense that Ms. Meyer is the longest-serving member on this board. I am the second longest member. I don't think I'm going to break any records that Penny has set. Secondly, though, this is just naming it after Ms. Meyer is just a very unique honor for a very unique place. When I bring people in from out of town and I try to show them a slice of old Van Nuys, I drive by Penny's house, I tell them that Penny lives there, and they really see something. They really think it really defines an older sense of what Van Nuys is. Now, in talking to Penny, I think Penny is modest enough who she wants to pass on this, and I'll let her pass on this if she
Well, let's
wishes.
let her.
But the
weigh
comment
in.
simply is that it needed to be said. There are other things we can name for other people, but this is such a unique thing. I take people, as I say, I take people from out of town, I show them that as a representation of a very interesting Van Nuys, and I just thought it would have been a kind gesture to name it after her.
All right, so I think we should get Ms. Meyer's opinion.
Ms. Meyer would like to.
Thank you, John, for thinking of me and that. It's very sweet. Actually, it was my late husband that is the one that really got that circle going. And don't worry, Candido, I'm not going to do it. That was, so you don't need to worry about it. Thank you, John, that was very sweet of you to think of us.
Mr. Moraz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Myers, I appreciate that she's stepping, it doesn't want to accept it, but I think it should be named after her husband. I think her husband was an outstanding individual. For most of you, we have public comment. For most of you, especially you, Mr. Freeman, you weren't around back 20, 30 years, but Mr. Myers used to go up and down the street by himself and put up the Christmas decorations, put up the flag. So if anybody, I would stand here proudly to name this circle after Mr. Myers because he truly deserves it. And I thank you, Penny, for stepping down. But again, Mr. Freeman, you weren't around back in those days when we were working hard.
Thank you, sweetheart.
What did you call me? What did you call me? No, please, can you repeat, Mr. President? He called me.
Let's continue on.
This is public comment, and do I have 2 minutes? I have 2 minutes
You
I have
still
2
have
minutes,
minutes.
Mr. President. I have 2 minutes uninterrupted. I can say whatever I want, okay?
Yes.
And he's not supposed to respond, and we have people here, Miss Quinn even said that. So when he calls me a sweetheart, I want to make sure that's on record, that Mr. Freeman called me a sweetheart. And I want to know what he means by that.
Well, this is not back and forth.
Well,
You know what that means in prison, Mr. Freeman? You know what that means?
I would simply say, Mr. Friedman, with all due respect, when we have public comment, that's the second time you've engaged whoever was publicly commenting, so it would go a lot quicker if you wouldn't do that.
And Mr. President, I will start getting the signatures of over 200 people to have him recalled because, again, you called me a sweetheart, sir. We may disagree on issues, but I won't sit here and let you insult me like that.
Okay, so time up.
Okay, let's
All right.
go with it.
Do we have Yes, you did. Yes, you did, Donna. Go ahead.
I'm disappointed that she stepped down. I was going to say, there's a great big celebrity over there, Penny Mayer, Traffic Circle. I was pretty excited about that, but if you want to do your husband, that's fine too. I'm happy for him. That's all I wanted to say.
All right, thank you. And we have a public speaker card from Anonymous.
What's this sweetheart stuff about?
We're here to talk about the traffic circle.
No, we're talking about the sweetheart traffic circle.
No, we're talking about the traffic.
So what's that all about? You got a real problem here, man. You know, you got a real problem here. We're naming circles after people that don't even want it. They don't even want it. So why are we're doing that? Then we're calling people a prison terminology. Why is that? Because we got people here out of control. We're an out of control group here. We're not in control of ourselves. So get under control or hand in your resignations and go out there and do your prison talk out there. Because in here, you're city employees, and every time you screw up, the city's taxpayer pays the judgments. Every time. Look it up in your contract. Stop fucking around here and get to the business. And I'm doing you a favor by doing what's going to happen on Friday. I'm doing you a favor. Stop fucking around and get
You can't
to
use that
the
word.
business. I sure can.
You cannot.
Hey.
I can use that term,
Let
sir,
her talk.
under the Ninth Circuit precedents. Absolutely, I can. And you need to stop screwing with city business. You're on city property, you're city employees on city time. Stop your fucking games. You are city employees, and you are liable to the city's taxpayers for everything you do in your legislative duties. So get serious
I can't see it.
and grow a pair and understand that you are elected officials of a chartered city position. You are not little kids. So grow up and be professional
Your time's
and
up.
check yourselves.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All
So-
right.
Just quick comment. Just clarification, Mr. Spindler, we are not city employees, we are city officials, but point taken, and we do need to have a little bit more maturity in the way we interact with our stakeholders. Some of us are pretty new at this, some of us have been doing it for a while, but we're working on it. It's a new administration, we're trying to get things under control.
All right. So Q has been dropped because Ms. Meyer declined the honor. You're very welcome. And that brings us to item R, the VNNC to propose that streetlights be installed on Sylvan Street between Tyrone and Hazelstein and Van Nuys. There are presently no such lights on that section of Sylvan Street. The VNNC believes an installation of such lights would be in the best interest of the community, would deter crime, and would improve safety for local residents. Anybody wish to be heard on this? Mr. Lazarevitz.
Why only Sylvan? My street doesn't have any lights on.
Neither,
All the streets around me don't have any lights.
neither does mine. Well,
Are those-
Why are we focusing on a particular street in a particular area?
Is this,
it's Howard's.
yeah, I was going to ask you a question. Is your street residential?
Residential.
Yes.
Right, so this is like city, this is like, I think the point was that this is like the city property area right here, and it's not being lit, and it's public, kind of a public space as opposed to being like a residential area, which is kind of like private space?
That area, it's residential. What are you talking about? Between Tyrone
It's
and-
residential.
Actually, it's access to the courthouses.
It's access, yeah, Sylvan Street is the courthouse.
Right. We are on item R. And also, I would point out that even were this to be approved, there is a whole process that has to be gone through with the city and a fee paid and stuff like that, so, but,
Tax levy and everything else.
right. So, anyone else wish to be heard on this?
Patty.
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Patton.
I know, I live on a cul-de-sac street, and it was, there was no lighting. It was terrible from Kester all the way down to the very end of the cul-de-sac. It was dark. I got involved with Neighborhood Watch with the police department, and we got a lot of responsible neighbors that got involved with us, and we did finally get some lighting. But I would suggest that any of the neighborhoods that would like their neighborhood lit up, that they get themselves, roll up their sleeves, and rouse up the neighborhood to get the place lit up. Earn it.
So,
I'm sorry, Mr. Ackerman.
So a couple of things. First off, as mentioned, that this is immediately adjacent to the public property, and this is it's just like as soon as you leave the immediate boundaries of the property, it goes dark on the street, which is problematic. There's this really long section between, I believe it's as mentioned, between Tyrone and Hazeltine on Sylvan, which is like just right here, where people traverse to get to the Civic Center at night, and it is kind of dark and sketchy. To get to this meeting, yes, very good, very valid point. So I think that's why, and I also believe that Mr. Benjamin has been working for a while to get lights on the street, and what I believe is being proposed is it's like a special lighting district where the residents, an assessment district.
Jason, who do we propose this to?
Huh?
Who do we propose it to?
Hang on.
Street services or
Public Works.
Public Works.
Public Works.
Guillermo? Bureau of Street Lighting.
We have it.
Mr. Moroz.
Yes, if I can ask the council office, the properties will be assessed as residential, correct?
Correct, 3,400.
Make sure, you know, that your properties will be assessed.
It's an assessment levied on your property tax, it's paid annually. And if you go through the city's assessment process per the Bureau of Street Lighting, you do have to pay for the installation, which is approximately $3,500.
And is this a yearly assessment, or is it
Lots of signatures.
3,500 per year?
No.
No, so the 3,500 is the cost of installation only. The property tax is assessed, I think it's a cost.
It's
It
70.
says 70.
Yeah, it's $70.
It's like $70.
Yeah.
It comes down to like 52 cents a
Debe ser una
Guillermo, have you seen this happen elsewhere around town?
Yeah. I believe it's $3,500 per 50 foot.
Okay. Just curious.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What I have seen, however, is because we've done it before. We've done it twice in Sun Valley and once here in Van Nuys. Actually, it's behind the area behind Fulton. There is federal funding available for infrastructure improvements for safe streets, specifically for street lighting, and that funding takes care of the installation. The only thing that the property owner is responsible for is the maintenance fee.
Could you look into?
Oh yeah, I can definitely look into it.
There are 16 lampposts in a 1.5 block circumference of this area right here.
Yeah, and
16 lampposts, and there are none for the next 2 blocks.
No, it's true. It's very dark here.
I just have a
Yes.
quick question about this.
Sure.
Does it matter if the streets have sidewalks or not? Because, just from personal experience, where I live in a lot of the areas over there, the streets are very old, they have no sidewalks, but they also have no street lights. Are sidewalks required to have street lights, or that's not an issue?
I think those are independent
they're required
issues.
to have a sidewalk. I think the Bureau should be able to install the street light. All you would need is that box. But I don't think you need an actual.
You don't.
No, you don't, because there are alleyways, for example, that have street lights.
I'm only asking, again, that whole area around, not just where I live, but mainly the streets in that area between Van Nuys and Sepulveda.
Yeah.
Major parts of it that are so old, they need sidewalks.
Yeah, it's just like the dirt easement, right?
It's just asphalt.
Okay, yeah, I don't think you need an actual sidewalk.
Yeah.
But that is available, and there is a difference. When you see them attached to the brown utility poles, that's DWP lighting, so the Department of Water and Power will come out and install. But when you have the actual street lights, they'll look like the ones just outside of here. So it's a big, great pole.
If you could look into that.
I'll look into that.
Do we need to vote on it?
I think we can table it until we find out what.
Good suggestion.
All right, so the suggestion is to table it. Anybody have a problem with that?
Nope.
Okay, tabled it is. So that was item R, and that brings us to T, the VNNC to announce that there are, well, okay, I'm announcing, there are presently 2 openings on the board for nonprofit representatives. Said openings to be filled pursuant to the procedure recommended by the VNNC Government Relations Rules and Bylaw Committee and approved by the full board of the VNNC, as it was previously, I would add. Election of the 2 new board members would not take place until and unless and until, rather, such recommendation and approval have been completed. So we've already approved all of that. So what I would suggest, the consequence of all of that is that at the next meeting, or 7 days before the next meeting, the proposed candidates would hand in their qualifications. At the next meeting, they could give a presentation. At the next meeting, we could elect 2, which is a kind of a unique problem in that there's 2. So I guess we could do that as they did the Senate race, as like a jungle primary or something? Or?
You could do that. And if there are no candidates, then we could vote to expand the definition
Yes.
as well.
Yes. I mean, so far, it seems that there are candidates.
There are? Okay.
So, wait a minute, hang on. Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Does the secretary have the application?
For who?
Well,
For the candidate.
that we have to fill out an application to.
Oh, I see. These
Those
are
are-
actually written
those are on the
applications.
website, I think.
It's on the website.
We've had, the VNNC has had applications.
They're on
Yeah.
our website.
They're on our website.
And
Okay.
barring that, I can make them available.
Mr. Morez.
Another one?
So the clarification, next month, we will be voting to place 2 people on that, filling those 2 positions. And are we going to go out and try to do outreach on that as well? Is there a lot of people that would like to fill those positions?
Yes.
We hate to see the same people come back over and over.
Well, I already put them, excuse me, I already put an, I don't want to call it an ad, but I mean, it's on our website that these positions are available, and then anybody who wants to fill them should try, So it's come one, come all, and whoever responds, we'll go from there.
I do believe some board members have been doing outreach to some nonprofits to see if anybody's interested. So there has been some work on this since it was established at the election that we would need an extra nonprofit rep or 2.
Well, the young lady was here earlier stage. There's a couple other people.
Right. Well, we just need to make sure they submit their applications and with all the appropriate documentation and in a timely manner. So that
All
thank
right,
you.
Mr. Dela Cuesta.
For the possible candidate, who do they forward? Do they send it to info@VNNC, or do they direct it to the secretary?
7 days before.
Well, how do you want to do that, Mr. Secretary? It's fine with me if they send the info at VNNC, because I look at it every day, so I'll just forward it to them.
Perfect.
Does that work?
Sounds good.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Then that is that. All right, item U, which is kind of important. The VNNC to officially vote on the 5 representatives authorized by the VNNC to prepare and submit community impact statements. This is required by Dunn. The VNNC also believes that having 5 representatives will expedite and streamline the submission of community impact statements. The executive committee recommends that the 5 representatives be the president of the VNNC, the vice president, the secretary, the treasurer, and Carino Della Cuesta. That was recommended by the executive committee. Anybody have any comment about that?
Well,
No?
No.
We have any public comment about that?
anyone?
I move that we approve item U. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Mr. Secretary.
All right. Jeffrey Lynn.
Yes.
Jason Ackerman.
Yes.
Jeremy Pessoa, yes. Stacy Rains. Paul Anand.
Yes.
Jacob Lynn.
Yes.
Howard Benjamin.
Yes.
John Henry.
Yes?
Joseph Lazarovitz.
Yes.
Jerry Martin.
Yes.
Veronica Marin.
Yes.
Penny Meyer. Austin Knoll.
He left.
Okay.
He's got a curfew. He's gonna leave by 9 o'clock before 9.
Kathleen Padden.
He does.
He does, yeah.
Yeah.
John Camara.
Yes.
Carino Della Cuesta.
Yes.
Steve Friedman.
Yes.
All right, it passes.
Thank you. All right, very good. That brings us to item V as in victory. The city council file item, VNNC to vote for a community impact statement for CF, council file number 15-0524, which allows neighborhood council board members at least 5 minutes of public comment when speaking to the Los Angeles City Council on an agenda item in a city council on city council meetings, sponsored by our Government Affairs and Bylaws Committee. Does anybody have anything to say about that?
Who proposed it?
I proposed it, and this is something that's been approved already, but it's just good to have us on record as being supportive of this, especially given our efforts to enhance communication with the city council on our behalf with this video conferencing. So, yeah, it's kind of an easy one. Like, so it's the same thing with the
Mr.
next
Bailey,
one.
This is to clarify, this is for items in which we, as a council, have filed a CIS. So if we filed a position on something, then we would be allowed to speak to that during the meeting, and
does the city council agree with that?
the city council's already passed it.
Right, so you don't actually need our vote on this. It's just informational?
No, we need to vote on filing a CIS.
Hang on a second. Mr. Bailey, did you have a comment about this?
Glenn Bailey. As indicated, this has passed City Council, both of these council files. Number one comment is you could combine these together. They are linked council files. Just based on your description, it looks like you're addressing the opportunity for neighborhood councils to weigh in portion of the council files. The one that's 15-0389 is solely, totally 100% just on that issue. The other one, the one you're considering right now, includes some other elements as well. But you don't have that addressed on your agenda, so that's just a suggestion to expedite. If you want to, you could combine them together and file the community impact statement would be on both council files. I want to just clarify a couple of things based on the way this is worded. First of all, it is not correct that this is only for city council. This is for city council committees and boards and commissions of the city. All right? That's big distinction because that opens up a lot of other things that you're able to participate on. The other thing that I just wanted to clarify, when it says at least 5 minutes, that was a request of us neighborhood councils. It is not what City Council approved. I just want to make sure you understand that. In their approval, they've given discretion to the presiding officer. Now, you can certainly approve this and say this is your position, and I would encourage you to do so. But I just want to make sure no one leaves this room thinking you're going to get 5 minutes before these different bodies, because that is the discretion of the presiding officer, and probably highly unlikely before full city council that would happen. But it's a good goal. It was our goal. That's the best we got. We are going to pursue further expansion of this, but right now we're just trying to get what we can get. Ordinance just became effective about a week or so ago, so no one, to my knowledge, has actually utilized it, but as was indicated, you do have to file a community impact statement on the matter before you can actually take advantage of it. So there will be some gearing up for a lot of neighborhood councils in order to do it. Thank you.
Okay.
So
I suggest we combine both of them.
Well, can I do that? You want me
Yeah,
to
we-
read the whole?
we can
Just
combine
read them as one big thing? All right, then the motion is combine V and W. V is to vote for the community impact statement for Council File 15-0524, which allows neighborhood council members at least 5 minutes of public comment when speaking to the city council on an agenda item, and other committees, as Mr. Bailey just explained. W.
we should probably enunciate the other functions like the city commissions and the committees of the city council itself.
Well, that would be part of the CIS.
But we can't. We have to vote on. Well, this was a condensed version of what I wrote, and a lot of the details have been stripped, unfortunately.
Yeah,
so.
All right, well, do we want to table V and W so we can write them correctly and bring them back next month and then vote them?
Yes.
Why don't we do that?
It's correctly written
Yeah.
on the second one. It does list each of those. It just, the first one is what I was commenting on, because it only said city council.
Okay,
You
so
amend-
is the first,
Take the wording from the second one and just add in the council file number, and I think you're good to go.
okay,
Why don't you, yeah, we can just amend W to just have both council file numbers.
all right. Then let's try that. It's a combined VNW, the VNNC. Does it? The language is different.
What is that council, we're taking a position on this council file already have that.
All right. They say two different things. You want, what?
I said we can just table it and copy.
All right. I think we need to, do you want to table this until
No,
we?
we can just do it, so here's what I'm proposing the amendment. We just
Go
add the
ahead.
words, we strike basically V, and VNC to vote on community impact statement for CF 15-0389 Weston Krikorian and CF 15-0524 Weston O'Farrell.
Cheers.
But it doesn't say vote in favor or not in favor or support or not support. It says to vote.
Okay, so in support, okay, so VNNC to vote for community impact statement in favor of CF 15-0389 and CF 15-0524 with conditions.
What condition?
Yeah.
They can,
I don't want to spoil the party, but I think this better go back to the committee to be rewritten properly so we know what the heck it
All right.
says and it says the right thing. So I'm going to move that it be tabled until the next meeting and we'll get it straightened out in the meantime.
Yeah, but
Okay.
Yeah, then combine them.
And we'll combine them, we'll write it correctly, it'll be hunky-dory, and we'll vote for it. All right, that's it. So that's V, that's W. We already did Y, so that only leaves X. And public comment. The VNNC, this is X, to require all committee chairs to hold monthly meetings with their respective committees, reports to be rendered monthly by the committee chairs at the next general board meeting. The VNNC believes that this would give a meaningful role to the various committees and expedite the general board meetings. I'll kick that over to the bylaw committee folks. That's where this came from. I would just say as president and also as a member of that committee, and I know there's other people that agree with this, if the committees were to meet, then they could consider a lot of these things and they would be vetted and we wouldn't have to vote on every single last thing, no matter what it is. And so that's kind of the goal. It's not to make people have meetings that they don't want to have. So with that, I'll give it to Mr. Renan.
All right, so basically what this comes down to, as well, is that we want to put everything through a consent calendar to make this meeting go very quickly. This was part of Robert's Rules of Order, so this is already an existing thing that we can leverage. And what would happen is if the committees would bring them up, have a position as a committee, then the committees can put them on the consent calendar, and then we can have a very, very just vote on those items that we're not all going to say aye to anyways the whole time. It's just going to be unanimous. So, so this is the idea behind holding monthly meetings. Now, I'm open to the idea of it, you know, maybe it doesn't have to be certain what we call ad hoc committees. This is not really referring to. This is really referring to what we want to make as standing committees. So those standing committees would meet every month. They'd bring up and bubble up those items onto the consent calendar. The consent calendar would then allow us to move much more quickly through these meetings.
so a couple things. First off, I mean, I like the idea of this motion. However, since we eliminated the standing rules amendments, redefining the names and roles of the standing committees, as they were approved through the bylaws committee earlier this month, this becomes problematic because it's not clear which committees are standing and which ones are not. Other than the fact that we know that the Legislative Information Committee is ad hoc. So, and also, there's a baseline requirement that committees meet quarterly, within, I believe, the city rules or Dunn's rules or somebody's rules. So, but I think it's a laudable goal to have monthly meetings, and I definitely am supportive of the committees meeting more often, especially as the vice president. I'm trying to make sure that happens. But
Jason,
I think it's problematic right now.
to the extent that you think it's problematic, and to the extent that you see that there's a conflict between standing and ad hoc, then we can address that offline.
All right.
But the notion is, we want to give the committees the authority and the power to drill down on some of these issues and then
Right.
speed it up. And I think you're in favor of that, right?
Right.
Okay.
So just a point of information as well regarding standing versus ad hoc. We do have, as part, right now, all of our committees are ad hoc. But if we add those committees to our standing rules, then they become standing committees.
If they're defined as standing committees, yes.
So that's very simple for us to go ahead and pick those ones, put them, make them standing committees is as simple as one vote.
All right.
If I could add to that, I've got to say that you're 100% wrong. That the standing committees are the Executive Board, the Safety Committee, Parks and Rec, Budget and Finance, Plan and Land Use Management, Government Relations and Outreach and Education.
Not according to our current bylaws. Our current bylaws have all that language stripped out when Dunn boilerplated it. And the only thing that's in there, it says that we can make standing committees by adding to the standing rules. They boilerplated it, and that's what they put in there.
So how do we rectify that?
So the way we rectify that is by putting the standing committees and their definitions into the standing rules.
Great, so let's do that and table it for the next meeting and make that part of the rules.
Well, but that's not necessary for this. This
Right.
part of it has nothing to do with that. That would just be something that we would bring up in the next meeting,
Great.
and we would just agree on what the committees are, and
Great.
there we go.
Yeah, because there's other stuff from that committee that has to be done as well that we did last time.
Yeah,
So-
it's just the first
Yep.
amendment,
All right.
that we made to make.
No, it's a great idea. Thank you for addressing it.
Okay, so therefore,
Thank you, Mr.
without further ado, I move that item Y be put to a vote. Do I have a second?
X.
Oh, X, I'm sorry, X.
X.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Secretary?
All right. Jeffrey Lynn,
Yes.
Jason Ackerman,
No.
Just one point of information, this says committee chairs. Are we trying to say standing committee chairs? Maybe we should clarify that.
Well, you have no standing committees according to.
Not yet, so no, this rule wouldn't apply to anybody until we add standing committee,
Except for the executive committee.
except for, which has to meet every month anyways.
Correct.
Yeah. So we don't have to take a vote until we have it all done.
We're voting right now. I mean, I'm just.
No,
Are we not voting anymore?
We're voting.
we're voting.
I already called for the vote. We're doing a vote.
We don't have a standing committee.
He voted no.
Moving on.
All right, moving on. Jeremy Pessoa, I'll abstain. Stacy, absent. Paul Anand?
You can vote yes. I'm not going to judge you.
No, I think you
I'm
might
gonna
have a
judge
point. I'm going to abstain as well then.
All right. Jacob Lynn?
Yes.
Howard Benjamin?
Yes.
John Hendry?
No.
Joseph Lazarovitz?
I abstain.
Abstain. Jerry Martin?
Abstain.
All right.
Move.
Veronica Maurin?
Abstain.
Penny Meyer?
Yes.
Okay. Austin's gone. All right. Kathleen's gone. John Camara?
Committee, you're all voting no.
It's not written.
Carino?
Wait, it's written. It says
Abstain. Steve Friedman?
Yes.
We're gonna have to, might have to amend it next
Yeah.
time anyways, it says standing.
We only have 6 votes yes, so I don't think.
No, it doesn't work that way. Abstentions, it doesn't work that way. You don't need, you just need a majority.
Oh, okay.
You don't have a majority.
Do the majorities of yes or no?
The majorities are yes.
So then it
It passes.
Oh, all right, passes.
All right. Then it passes.
I disagree with that.
I believe
give the majority yes.
because
How
the
many members are
because the because
abstention is not a no. Abstain doesn't mean no or yes. Abstain
You're right.
means
I got that.
not saying anything.
I got that
So if
confused.
the yeses are more.
Majority of what?
The majority of.
But how many
if
abstentions were there?
There are more yeses than no.
Okay.
How many abstentions were there?
6.
So 6 and 6.
Yeah.
What happened? Right. Okay.
Fine, I'll change
Done?
my vote to a yes. Let's just get on with this.